The entire music fraternity mourns his loss today. And joining us this morning in tribute, we have Clyde Mackenzie and Judith Bodley to share their memories with us. Good morning, Judy, and good morning, Clyde.
Morning, Mr. Richard Burgess, the man with the voice they can't test.
Oh gosh. Now you're going to make me stutter.
I know you think smooth.
Oh, thank you for joining us, Judy. Good morning, Clyde.
Morning, Richie. What's up?
I'm doing well. But it's a sad day for all of us as we together mourn the passing of another great one from within our midst. Clyde, let me start with you. Early recollections. Share with us some of those you've had with experiences you've had with Robbie Shakespeare, the man.
Well, one of the things that anyone who has come in contact with Robbie Shakespeare would know is that he is a no-nonsense kind of person, while at the same time he is somebody who embodies fun and levity. So he is the kind of guy that he will let you know the time of the day very, very quickly. But he is the person who would be willing to act as a mentor, was always ready to help younger and even well-established artists to hone their craft. So, it wasn't unusual for a Robbie to be on stage and whispering to the main act what he should be doing or what she should be doing in terms of moving. Sometimes he would be performing the moves himself and then telling them to imitate it or imitate them, So that's the kind of person that Robbie Shakespeare was. I mean, musically, his contribution with Sly is phenomenal. I mean, there are hardly any kinds of adjectives and descriptors that you could use to really do justice to that combination. It was simply magical. I remember Sly relating a story to me some time ago. A group of us, we were together in Florida, and Sly was telling us, just how the open snare type of drum pattern came into being as a result of, he and Robbie listening to how the rock musicians play. And he was realizing that they both realized that the one drop mode of delivery was not the kind that was going to people's gut. And they improvised, and the open snare type of drumming that is characteristic of, you see in a lot of the Black Uhuru music, which they were, Sly and Robbie were actually members of Black Uhuru at one point.
Yes.
Because Chris Blackwell, if you look at the last album, you would see that Sly and Robbie are a part of the aggregation with Puma and Ducky and Michael Rose. So, this is the contribution of Robbie Shakespeare, in conjunction with
Sly.
Is mind-boggling. You can't speak of any really, most important acts that you speak of as far as Jamaican music. They would have had to make some reference to them, and not to speak about the big stars outside of Jamaica that have benefited from their influence.
Yeah, let me ask Judy, from your perspective, Jude, how big a loss is this for us?
Richie, this is massive. Let's just look at what Rolling Stone has put out, right? Robbie Shakespeare, and they have in quotations, wickedest bass in reggae, dead at 68. It goes on to say, alongside his Rhythm Twins counterpart, Sly Dunbar, the bassist played for everyone from Black Uhuru to Bob Dylan across more than 4 decades. And then let me list for you that not only has he worked with Black Uhuru and Bob Dylan, and the things that Bob Dylan is saying about the pleasure of working with them, you know? And as a matter of fact, he was also a member of Black Uhuru when they won the very first reggae Grammy.
They produced that album,
first. Yes, absolutely. Now, back to what Rolling Stone has written. They said that he helped move the genre into new sonic territory. And it's something that we know, right? We know that whilst they call them sonic mad scientists, moving their sounds and the music into the more syncopated, electronic-driven territory on classic singles like Grace Jones' Pull Up to the Bumper.
Yeah.
You know, last evening we were with Sly and we were with Red Rose and Colin Bulby York and just the solemnness and also the joy, you know, as they spoke to who Robbie was as not only a musician but a person, and of course you know his affiliation with Family Man Barrett in terms of becoming a bass. My business partner Sharon Burke was also there, and it's interesting that Sharon and then everybody else chimed in about the wicked potato pudding, the wicked cornmeal pudding, and the wicked bread pudding that Robbie could make. And when he did those, everyone in the music industry who has a close relationship with Robbie has sampled those very puddings.
I saw your post where you were saying you were going off to visit Sly. How would you describe his mood? How is he holding up?
He's holding up. I don't know about now. I haven't spoken to him since morning, but I think that because there were persons around. Because there were persons around. He was talking. There's a lot of memories. He was talking about places they had gone to. He was talking about things that they had done, and just generally talking about the music. And he was in a good place, but he was unwilling to be on any station or any media to talk about anything.
Yeah.
I think I heard Clyde saying something a while ago. Clyde, you spoke to Sly, you said?
Yeah, we had a nice little discussion. You know, Sly is one of my special people, so we had a nice little discussion this morning, and it more had to do with really just thanking him and thanking Robbie, you know, because I think we owe them an enormous debt of gratitude. What they have done for the music is. And Jamaican culture is enormous. And, I mean, we can't even begin to fathom where their influence has led modern popular music. And I think, you know, it is important that when you are reflecting on people like these, you get a sense of, you know, some of the things that they did that were just so unusual, you know, and different, and the shifting of the sonic territories as Judith referred to with the article, is something that is so important, and as I had earlier talked about, you know, Sly. Making mention of the open snare drumming pattern that was something that transformed the music, and that is a kind of thing. I mean, they were I mean, Robbie was a personality, a larger than life personality. That it was. I mean, people like Copeland Forbes will tell you, and I mean, this is. Sly and Robbie are featured prominently in his upcoming book. He will tell you that on the road, Robbie was one of the men, one of the people you would always depend on to ensure order is on the road. So if somebody decides to be a little bit errant and, do something that is, a violation, you could always depend on Robbie to rein
straighten
that
them out.
person in.
That's where I wanted to go because I know Judith has to leave us shortly. But Judith, you've been a media practitioner yourself for a long time. Sly was always the one that was easier to access, and Robbie always came across as very serious. And I think it worked well for the duo. One being more media friendly and so on, while the other one quite serious, but serious about his work. How did you find that? Were you able to interview him, for instance?
Yin and yang. And so you are accurate in terms of always being able to speak to Sly. But I loved Robbie, and because maybe you didn't know this, I did a stint on singing backing vocals, and I did that with Black Uhuru too. And I've been in studio a couple of times when they're recording and Robbie is there. And once you're around him often enough, then he will speak. He will speak to you, and this is the thing. He's very protective of people that he likes, and so when he speaks, it's almost frightening. No, don't do that. No, do that to no.
It's a serious brethren, trust me.
Yes.
Let me tell you what.
But like Clyde says, his work has spoken for him. Sickness is no respecter of persons, and we need to understand that clearly. And the fact that he has been ill for, about a year, and those in the industry would have known that too. Yes. And to see that sickness will take us out.
It will, and I want to thank you, Juz. I know you have to run, Clyde. Let us try to understand now. What do we do? How do we celebrate this man?
Well, I think there are a number of things that can be done and should be done. I mean, because he will always live in his music. And that will never die. But there are other things, because sometimes, we hear the music and we don't make the necessary associations. So the backstories are very important. And so many of our legends are moving on now. It is important for us to make a serious effort to document the accomplishments and the contribution of these individuals and to demonstrate sometimes the obstacles that these people had to overcome in order to be the legend that they are. And Robbie Shakespeare is no exception. He came from the rough side of the city, and he was able to use his enormous talent with the help of others. But I mean, his effort was largely self-taught, and it's just a matter of his using his gifts of discernment and innovation to really make a contribution to an art form and a culture that is he is just larger than life.
Yes, and with all of the success that they had, they remained very, very humble. Judy, what do you say to all those who mourn right now, as we all do?
I say that we should take comfort in the fact that Robbie will always live. He will always live.
Yeah.
And I mean, speaking of the humility of these men, I mean, I can attest. I mean, there was one incident I remember years ago. I went to the studio with Jack Ruby and Jackie Mitu. And as a youngster, what stood out to me at the time was there was Sly and there was Robbie at the Dynamic Studio. And when Jackie Mitu came in and Jackie Mitu was playing, Sly was like a little child. Robbie, you know who that is? Jackie Mitu, Jackie Mitu. And I was like, yo, this is Lowell Sly Dunbar and Robbie Shakespeare. But here these men were, and they were excited about the brilliance of Jackie Mittoo. And I think that kind of humility can go a long way.
Yes, yes.
With the confidence, too, that you need, because you can't be great like Sly and Robbie and not confident enough.
There you go.
But at the same time, you must have an appreciation for greatness.
Yeah.
And a sense that, yes, others are important. And I think they understood that.
They understood it very well. I remember you made a mention of the fact that so many times, even during a performance, you could see Robbie getting involved. Sly not necessarily being able to get up from behind the drums, but he could move around with a bass guitar, Robbie that is. And I remember in Los Angeles, California, seeing him and Shireen almost doing a playoff against each other. He working with a bass guitar and Shireen tackling him and making sure that the crowd had fun. He had a certain vibe about him. Even his dress code is something that people are talking about.
The thing is that he was a personality, and even if he was of few words, I mean, his personality
stood
loomed
out.
large.
It stood out. Yes.
He was serious, and yet he was playful. You know, because on stage you could see that he was having fun.
Yes.
And he was really deeply invested in what was going on.
Great Jamaican. Will be sadly missed, but we're thoroughly in appreciation of all that he has done. And we express our condolences once again to all those who mourn. And we cherish the memories and the music that he definitely played on. Thank you so much, Clyde. Great talking with you as usual. And thanks to Judith, who was with us earlier. Have a good day.
Thank you, Richie.
Always a pleasure.